Hey everybody, this is Shauna West from Perfectly Imperfect, and if you've not watched one of my furniture painting tutorials videos yet, you're probably not ready for the random that's about to happen. So be patient and we will get through the whole thing. Today we're going to do a quick demo on paint stripping. I get a ton of questions about that on the blog, and it just seems to be something that people are really intimidated by, even though it's super simple. And you know, if you pick the right product, it's really user friendly. My favorite paint stripper, just go on and say stripper about 60 times and you'll, get the giggles out of your system. My favorite stripper is Smart Strip Advanced Paint Remover, and I really like this one because, it's number one, it's a green product, so it's awesome as far as being a mom, having kids around. But the other reason I love it is it will stay wet for 24 hours. So that means I can literally put my paint stripper on, I can walk away and leave the project for a day if I need to. And I can come back and I seriously have done it plenty of times, left it in the Alabama heat, and it's awesome. So, and I notice not very many people recommend it or use it. So if you have one that you like and you've not tried this yet, I would totally suggest giving it a whirl. I've already started painting it on. All you're gonna need are just a few supplies. I usually use a foam brush that I can throw away. Sometimes I'll wash them out because, again, this is green and water-based, so I'm able to do that. But, a lot of times I will just discard that. You're gonna need a putty knife or just a large scraper that you can, remove the initial coat of paint stripper with. You're going to need some rough or contour surface stripping pads, and then you're going to need just a fine, or you could even use an extra fine steel wool. You could substitute that for this. I'm going to use this on contoured surfaces like the handles or grooves in a piece of furniture, and then you're going to use your fine for at the end. Once you've gotten most of the paint removed from your piece, you're going to need this to clean it with. This is going to help make sure that you get any residue left from the paint stripper off your unfinished wood, so that it'll be ready for you to stain or paint. But P.S. if you're going to paint, don't ever strip paint. It's a waste of your life. So you can see I've already started painting this on. I like to put it on pretty thick. This paint stripper will take off up to 18 layers of paint, which is awesome. And I like to pretty much keep my paint stripper opaque because, again, this way I'm ensuring that I'm painting it on thick enough that it really will stay wet. If I spread it super thin, it's not going to stay wet up to however many hours. And typically I don't leave it on for 24 hours, but I will leave it on for 5 or 6 because then, I can go on about my day. With me being a mom and a blogger and I'm super busy, I can put this on, go do another project, I can do laundry, I can do whatever I need to do in my day, and then when the kids are napping or I'm able to work again, I can come back and remove it and it's done. I don't really have to worry about it ruining the piece, which, by the way, with traditional paint strippers, it really can. It's pretty tricky. It can be pretty tricky. I've used them and they're okay, but this is just my favorite. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to show you a close-up of just how thick that I've applied this paint stripper. Then I'll show you, maybe in a little bit, usually within 30 minutes or an hour, it's ready to remove, but you do not have to remove it at that point. So I'll show you kind of what it looks like when the stripper starts turning colors, and you can tell it's time for you, to begin removing it with your scraper. So we'll catch you on the flip. Okay, we're all finished applying the paint stripper, and then I wanted you to see just kind of how thickly I put it on. Now, in some areas, like in the back, I didn't go crazy, because I know that it's not as crucial that every single ounce is off of it as on the top and these sides, which are going to be very visible. So, and it'll be a lot easier to take some of the stripper that's around those areas that there's less, and they can, it can kind of, you can spread it a little thin as you're working it off, and it will kind of help remove it. But so you can see there's some areas you can see a shadow, but for the most part, it's a pretty opaque application. And for this project, I did just the top of this trunk, and then the sides of the top of it. And I'm going to take the take the paint off the handles as well. You know, I don't know how it's going to turn out yet, but that's okay. That's the beauty of it. We'll get it all stripped and then we'll decide what to do next. Okay, now we're ready to remove our paint stripper. It is, you know, as you can see, kind of turned a little bit. It's not so bright white. And I usually just do this with my, you know, scraper, and then I'll take paper towel or whatever I've got nearby and wrap all of the paint that comes off in it. And that way, you know, I can dispose of it properly when I'm done, you know. And different places have different regulations. You know, some places doesn't matter where you put things like this or throw away paint cans, but, you know, different states have different laws about that. So just make sure that you check all those out, which I knew nothing about, by the way, before I started doing this for a living. So as you see, when I pull it off, it doesn't look perfect yet. It's not going to be completely perfect. The point is it's wet under there. So what we want to do is get all this residue off so that that is what's not left. Does that make sense? I hope so. It's not that it's going to look perfect the first time that you don't just immediately strip the paint to completely unfinished bare wood. But what's important is I can see the grain. I don't see paint. I see the grain again. And when you can see the grain, you're headed in the right direction. So, you know, and you know, like I said before, what we're going to do later is we're going to clean it really well and scrub, you know, see, like, and I'm going to take a picture so you can see it pretty close up right here. You know, there's little bitty bits of residue that are left, and that's okay because, you know, you can't get it all off at one time. So but it's coming off nicely. And I, just so you know, left it on for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and it's taken it all off. And that had quite a bit of paint on it. So I think we're gonna see a pretty good result even after just one coat, which is definitely ideal. You know, that's again why we applied it just a little bit thick, so that we would be able to do this one time and be done. Okay, so I'm going to finish removing all of this paint stripper, and then we're going to let it, we're going to really try to get all these bits of white off of it. And then as we do that, then I'll come back and start cleaning it with that, the coarse stripping pad and then the fine.